Hey, I'm Jen Pacici. Welcome to another episode of Painting and Pep Talks. Normally I would be painting, but my husband is blowing leaves very loudly outside of the sunroom that I use as my studio. So I am going to try just a pep talk today and go back to the painting next time. Also, it's kind of hard for me to remember everything I want to say while I am painting because I get so distracted by the painting, even though it brings me joy. So feel free to use this time to paint while you listen to me. But today we are talking about art licensing and how to get your first art licensing deal. I am not an expert. However, I have the perspective of someone who is still relatively new to art licensing. I can identify with you if you feel like it is hard to get a deal or if you're nervous about sending your artwork out. I've got you covered. I have felt the same way recently, sometimes feel the same way. In a quick overview of what art licensing is, it's when a company basically borrows your artwork to put on their product. So as opposed to like if you paint a big painting and then you sell it to one person and they have it in their house for the rest of their life, you never see it again, you can't do anything else with it. But if you had scanned that painting and you let for some reason what's coming to mind is like if you let a vodka company use that painting on their vodka bottle, and they're paying you like every time someone buys that bottle of vodka or whatever, then you're getting to basically reuse your painting over and over. You are letting them borrow the artwork, but you still own the image. You could use it again in the future, and it could be on a poster or just a piece of wall art or whatever it was that you were going to license it for. So it's a great way, if you can get into it, to use your art sort of over and over, if you will, and to see it on different products. It's fun, so it's something that a lot of artists, I think, try to get into and have varying degrees of success. When I first heard about art licensing, it was almost 5 years ago, and I was just learning how to make seamless repeating patterns. I thought that was so cool, and I still do. And this person, they had created, to get their first licensing deal, they had created this beautiful, printed out, handmade portfolio, and they flew to another state to a trade show to show their portfolio, and that to me just felt so overwhelming. It really made me almost give up entirely for a long time, even trying to get licensing deals, because that just sounded like not my bag at all. I would not say I'm introverted, but I wouldn't say I'm extroverted either. I'm kind of in the middle. I will have a conversation happily with someone one-on-one. If you're introducing me to your friend, I will happily talk to them. But as far as mingling and networking, I can be very shy. And the thought of actually having to go to a trade show, like that sort of thing, was too overwhelming for me. So for me, it turned me off of art licensing because I was so freaked out by it. So I don't want that to happen to you, because it is not necessary to do all of that to get an art licensing deal. So what do you have to do? Obviously, you have to create art, and you have to know what your art would be good for. So if you are painting landscapes, like beautiful detailed landscapes, your art is probably most appropriately going to be licensed on things like wall art, maybe a shower curtain or something, you never know. But it's not going to probably be like, now I create a lot of repeating patterns, like that kind of thing. It could be on apparel, it could be on like a journal cover, it could be, there are so many things. Look around your house at what has art on it. Everything has art on it, really. Like in where I am, a tissue box. So you just have to see where you see art like yours on products to help you figure out what it might be good for. Is it good for apparel? Is it good for gifts and home goods? Is it good for garden flags? Is it good for wallpaper? That sort of thing. So you have to make the art. Then you have to figure out what it might be good on. And then you have to find places to submit it to. And I don't mean flying to trade shows and hoping to find someone, although if you want to do that, go for it. I mean looking on the internet. I would say greeting cards, especially if you Google like greeting cards that take art submissions, you will find a lot of them. If greeting cards are not an area of interest for you and your art really doesn't go on them, look up what you're interested in. I know online I have found a lot of gift companies, like places that make coasters and cloth napkins and pillows and that sort of stuff. I have found those that accept submissions. Like I said, garden flag companies. I just lost what one of them was because I really have found a lot of different products. I mean, puzzles. What else has there been? Oh, fabric. I know a lot of people are really interested in getting their artwork on fabric. So Google the industry, and then this is a good place to start. Just Google the industry and look for the people, the places that are actively receiving artwork. Now, I want to tell you about a free tracker that I made. If you have not started your art licensing journey yet, you will need a way to keep track of it. If you look down down there, you'll find a link to get the free tracker that I created. It will help you keep track of who you've contacted, when you need to follow up with them, the category that they're in. I give you some information about different categories where you can license your art and different ways to find emails and that sort of thing. So if you want that, go and grab it because that will be helpful to you. So then you just start submitting. How do you submit? Follow the directions on the website. What do you submit? The artwork that you have made that looks the most, not like copying, but the artwork that looks similar to what they already use. If they are a card company that uses cartoon dogs and you only paint watercolor flowers like I do, that you're not a good fit. But if you find a company that creates art that is in a similar vein to yours, good. And some companies have tons of different styles, so you have to kind of look around to see if they have art that fits in. How do you prepare it? That again, a whole other topic, but include on the PDF or the JPEG that you're sending them, include your contact information, your website, that sort of thing. Some places just ask you to upload a certain number of images. Some places ask you just to send a link to your portfolio. So website, portfolio, that's another whole topic. So I'm trying to condense this down as much as possible. You create the art, you find a place, you send it in, is the basic framework of getting an art licensing deal. Of course, it gets much, much bigger than that. But I first submitted art to a company that I knew accepted images several years ago, and I got rejected. And then I tried again, and I also got rejected. But that company, when I finally tried again, it was the third or fourth time, I did finally get my first art licensing deal with them. So this, just like my message on the video about rejection, is really about persistence. You are not probably going to get accepted your first time. You're not going to get an art licensing deal out of the blue unless you already are on Instagram or some other social media platform and have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. If you're already a successful artist, painting something incredible, which you probably are painting something incredible, then maybe a company would reach out to you, but you probably wouldn't need to watch this video if that's where you are. This is more targeted towards people who, do not have a huge following, who do not know anyone in the industry, who didn't work in the industry previously, people who are just trying to start out. So that is exactly what I did. I made my spreadsheet. You can get a free version of your own by clicking below and grabbing it. And you just start doing it. You just start reaching out. It gets easier and easier. I promise you, even if you receive a rejection, you might just receive some sort of a form letter, almost a form email that says, thank you for taking the time to submit your artwork. We've decided not to choose any of it at this time. Best wishes or something. No art director is going to take the time to be like, Dear Jill, your artwork is the worst I have ever seen. You should give up now and raise cats. No one ever will do that. I used to find it really nerve-wracking to do this, and now I'm more like, good job, Jen, and then move on. So I am going to encourage you to do the same thing. Once you have exhausted sort of all of the places that obviously take art licensing submissions, if you really want to make this work, you are going to have to dig deeper. Go to, for instance, I am really into the idea of having my artwork on planners or journals or something, paper that you hold in your hands. So I was getting my tires rotated in a plaza that had a Staples. I went to the Staples, every time I saw a journal that had flowers on it, because that's what I love, I would turn it over and I would take a picture of the company that manufactured it or made it. And then I went home and I looked them up. None of them, I don't think any of them had any obvious way to submit art, but I either looked up emails online, or one or two of them, I even just emailed customer service asking, and someone actually responded to me and was interested in some of my art. So you can ask if they accept freelance. You can ask if they license art. Again, just do it. No one is going to tell you you suck. I promise you it will be okay. Now, if you are worried about whether or not your art is good enough, that is a conversation for another day. But I will say, just start now. Just start now. You can always submit again later. So many companies are like, please don't submit more than twice a year. So fine. So they know your art will change. My art has changed so much in the 6 years since I picked my paintbrush back up. I mean, I'm using a different, like I used to paint with acrylic paint, and then I was doing collage, and I did pointillism, and now I'm doing watercolors. Like, totally, your style will change. You will get better the more you paint or draw or whatever it is you're doing that's creative. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there now. I think I talked about this in my rejection video. Some of the art I made 6 years ago, I don't love it when I look at it now, but it meant people bought it. It meant something to people. It doesn't, you're never done. Like, you're never going to get to that. Yeah, you might get to the pinnacle of your career, but as long as you keep creating, you're going to change, you're going to grow. You can put out what you have now. If you don't get a positive response or any response, that's fine. You can follow up with them later when you have a new collection. You can go in a different direction. You can try a different kind of product, a different company. There are really, I mean, today I was at the store, just a department store, and I was like, oh, I never thought about having my artwork on. There was a pair of boots that had flowers on it. I was like, see, it's everywhere. It's really everywhere. So do not think that there's not enough room for you. Don't think that you're not good enough. But you do need to be persistent and consistent. Consistent, because that is the only way to really get anything done. You might want to just paint all the time, but you also have to have maybe not an entire day of action, but you need to be putting action into your day to day or week to week, because otherwise your paintings are just going to be at home with you, and maybe some of your Instagram followers will see them or something, but you have to be the one to take the action. So make the art, find the companies, submit the art, and then repeat, and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. It did take me a long time, but I did finally get an art licensing deal. And once I started getting consistent with it, I got 2 deals. Now I have other things in the works. It really, once you make it part of your life, then things will start to happen. So just keep going. Like I said, if you want that free tracker, you can get it down below. And I hope that you will find it helpful. And if there's anything else that you need a pep talk on, drop it in the comments, because I love to give a good pep talk. Hopefully next time I will be back and actually be painting. So have a wonderful day. I'm Jen Pacici, and I will see you soon.